His train won't be held up much longer, but it had to wait because something much more important has to be got through. The War Department has sent an order to railway headquarters about troop movements. Another division is to go overseas, and these two men have to make all the arrangements. The division is to embark at Port X on a certain date. Units of men with their equipment must be picked up from all over the country. Vehicles, guns and munitions must be moved from ordnance depots. Food, clothing and medical stores must be collected from scattered dumps. All this mass of men and material must be brought in hundreds of special trains across the railway network. The trains must reach Port X, one after the other, at times which fit in with a carefully planned schedule for the loading of the transport ships. Enough wagons and coaches and locomotives must be found to deal with all this traffic, and they must travel across the country without causing too much delay to you and me. Two men start the ball rolling. How do they set about it? Here is a mainline railway station. Travellers buy their tickets at the booking office, check up their train in the timetable, and that's that. The train may be a bit late, but the timetable says it will start at a certain time, and at another time arrive somewhere else, and usually it will. But have you ever thought what the timetable really means? In Britain, each train is given individual attention throughout its journey. It is passed on from one signal box to the next. It must be accepted and handed on by each section all along the line. The men who know the needs of each train, whether it must stop at every station or be passed through as an express for 100 miles or more, these men build up the timetables. In the timetable, each column of figures represents a train. At the top is the time the train starts, at the bottom when it should reach its destination. But notice, there are some columns which have long blank spaces in them, no trains. This is free time which the passenger service does not need. In this free time between passenger trains run goods trains and special trains. The complete timetable, which you never see, is really full of trains, like this. To look after all these trains, there is a system of control. Each division of a railway, a division is itself an enormous spider's web of railway lines, has a control room. In the control room, each man is in charge of part of this spider's web, and through his colleagues can find out about all the other parts. The job of control is to keep in touch with every signal box and station in the whole division, to plot the course of every train, and to disentangle the troubles of local signalmen when they don't know what to do. Local signalmen have only their local picture of what is happening, but control knows the whole picture and can give the best advice as to how to keep the whole division of the railway running smoothly. Nowadays, the advice of control must often be to hold up the passenger train and let the goods train through. Goods trains are full of munitions of war and raw materials to make munitions, and they must have priority. Handling goods is a complicated business. You and I come to the railway station and we get into the train by ourselves, and we usually get out at the right place. But goods must be loaded into trucks at factories and small yards. Then these trucks must be built up into a train. Then the train must move off across the country, getting rid of truck after truck at different stations. Now here's an important looking truck, and perhaps it's a secret weapon. Now how exactly did it manage to get here? From its factory in the north, it was shunted down the service line to the local goods station. There, the wagon was attached to the first convenient goods train and set off down the branch line on the first stage of its journey. The end of the first stage was a huge mainline marshalling yard where trains are made up for all kinds of destinations in the south. Here among this collection of wagons is our secret weapon. A shunting engine pushes it back, and it is allowed to run into one of a great number of branching tracks where the train which will take it south is being made up. In this kind of yard, a great many railwaymen are needed to couple and uncouple wagons, to set points, and to put the brakes on the wagons at the right moment. Now our wagon sets off again down the main line to the south. Two or 300 miles further on, it arrives at one of the most modern of marshalling yards, where everything possible is done mechanically. Our train is passing through the yard to where it will be broken up. A powerful locomotive pushes the train backwards up to the crest of a small hill, called a hump. Then, of its own accord, each wagon rolls off down the hill towards the particular siding where its new train is being made up. Which siding each wagon shall roll into is decided in this control tower. This man has in front of him a number of electric switches which control every set of points in the marshalling yard. He has been handed a list which shows the order in which the wagons are coming over the hump. And from that list, he arranges his switches so that as each wagon passes, it rolls into the correct siding. This second man watches the wagons as they run down the hump, guesses their speed, and by using a special set of braking rails, makes sure that they will pass the box travelling just fast enough to arrive at the bottom of the siding for which they are intended. Once again, everything is done by electrical remote control. For the second time, our wagon is in a new train and sets off on the last stage of its journey. All this shuffling and reshuffling has been necessary to take one wagon on a fairly simple journey from the north to the southeast. The war has made everything more difficult. It has not been easy for the railways to supply service equal to the demands made on them.